Hello, and welcome to another fabulous Marvel Fresh Start review. Unlike Jimmy Kimmel, we're not live at 11:35, but instead midnight. So I guess this is like the late version of it. I'm Mike, joined alongside,
Demoan, Genta.
I'm Natalia. Hey.
and we have three books on tap for tonight. We got X-23 number one, Mr. and Mrs. X number one, and Domino number one. So Natalia, you're gonna introduce us to your first book, to our first book, which is a character you may or may not know. I don't know if you've ever heard of this character before.
I have never heard of her in my entire life,
So tell us about X-23 number one.
All right, well, we got X-23 number one. It's written by Mariko Tamaki and drawn by Juan Cabal. And Laura has been going with the Wolverine persona for a while now, ever since Logan died. But since he came back, Marvel's giving her back the X-23 codename as well. So we start off with her with a uniform, still doing missions with her new clone sister Gabby. In order to track down, it seems like a regular X-23 plot of some evil corporation is trying to get her DNA, trying to create clones. So she's trying to stop that from happening because, well, she turned out to be a good clone, but we can't have like all these evil fighting clones walking around. Right. So afterwards, it turns out that Beast is sending her on this mission and also providing her with more information, including that of a missing scientist. Afterwards, her and Gabby meet the Stepford Cuckoos, who appear to they kind of got their own personality and their own differences in the Bendis runs, but now they're back to the same haircut, same clothing, which seems a little odd. But later on,
the ugliest outfit too.
Well, I kind of like the long cloak thing. I think it's fancy.
I really hate it.
I
don't. It just looks very ugly to me.
Aww.
I was just surprised to see the cuckoos show up, honestly.
Well, I mean, if you've been following the solicits and stuff, so it does seem like a weird choice, but like also they're both clones. Both of them sort of have a legacy to hold up to, Laura to Logan and the Cuckoos to Emma. So I think it's fitting that they appear in the Laura book. Anyway, we eventually see that the Cuckoos are bringing back their two dead sisters, and Sophie and Esme, I believe. So, which I think kind of explains a little bit why they've gone back to looking the same, kind of want that sister solidarity. And meanwhile, Laura is sort of having this angst moment about her birthday, about what it kind of means for her as a clone. In the end, we see, which one's the evil sister? I forgot.
I think it was Sophie was the one.
No, Esme is the evil one. Sophie's the good one.
50 shot.
I can't tell them apart.
Me neither. I know one person who was able to tell them apart before Bendis dyed the hair, which was I guess told us about Bendis's writing more than anything else. But yeah, we see Esme starting up some evil shit, killing Sophie in the process, and then we sort of see more of Laura's inner monologue, and that's just it. That's the beginning of the new issue. So I do have it right here. I've already shown it. I'm going to give this, partly out of bias, partly out of relief, a 4 out of 5. I am not a fan of the Taylor series, All New Wolverine series, and I am not a fan of how Marvel has been basically forgetting that Laura was Wolverine and replacing her with Old Man Logan and Jimmy Hudson from the Ultimates universe. So I was kind of relieved to see her let go of it because finally she could be her own person again. So, and I have a bunch of other reasons why I was not a fan of the Taylor run. So this was actually a really nice, fresh breath of air. Laura's a dark character, so I really didn't mind the angst much. So I'm really glad to hear her having her own voice again. I'm really glad to see her have more interacting with Gabby as opposed to it being very one-sided and kippy on Gabby's part. And the art is, I'm not really a big fan of Cabal's art, the sort of same face style that we see like in Batman books and with McKelvey. So, but even with all that, I have a lot of faith in this series. I've been hearing from friends that Tamaki's She-Hulk was pretty good with with regards to mental illness, and I really hope to see the same with Laura. So yeah, 4 out of 5.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Demoan, you're up.
First, okay. I liked. So the last episode of Fresh Start I was on was let's just say not a hot one.
It was not.
But I would definitely say that this is a significantly better episode, and I think this is a strong comic to start off with. And I actually really did like the writing from it. It's more accessible than definitely the last ones from last episode. Like, there's very little that you have to know coming in, which is always good for an issue 1. I think one of my favorite part of this probably issue was when she was fighting the green guy, and he's the Grinch in combat armor. He looks just like the Grinch to me. It's hilarious. But when Gabby's fighting, I'm just gonna refer to him as the Grinch still. When Gabby's fighting the Grinch, I don't know. I like the way Gabby fights. Is all I'm gonna say.
Does Gabby have healing powers?
Yeah, she has regeneration. Yes. And one claw.
She got hit with a giant truck, and she's still walking around. So if she didn't have healing powers, she's pretty tough. But
so,
yeah.
What was your rating then, Demoan?
Gosh, I'd probably give this like probably somewhere between a 3.5 or a 4 out of 5. I'd probably lean closer to a 4.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to be your outlier for the evening. I really did not like this issue. And I dug the art. I like Mikhail Janon's art in Batman. So the art in here, I liked Juan Cabal's art. And it's a taste thing. I perfectly understand if you don't like this weird kind of digital art style. It can be weird to the eyes sometimes. But it's this weird experimental thing that's going around, and sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just, I guess, more on the side of being a fan of it. For me though, I felt, Demoan, you said like you felt like that you could jump into this very much. I felt like since I hadn't been reading All New Wolverine, I don't know what's going on. But to me also, I felt like Laura already kind of went after the people that made her, so the story of her end up going after more people kind of just felt like we've seen that. Let's do something different. For me, I will say this: I missed her Wolverine outfit. I thought that was an awesome costume. So to go back to X-23 is sadly regressive, but because I would have been fine with 2 Wolverines, considering that we've lived with 3 the last 5 years. Since the real one's been dead. But for me here, I just felt like not a lot happens, especially with our main characters. And I thought the angst was a little bit dialed up too much to the point where it's just like you're sitting there sulking and like brooding. Like, let's move places here. And then I couldn't follow along what was really happening with the Cuckoos thing. It was cool to see them, and then they kind of dominated the rest of the book for me. I was reading the book for X-23, not the Cuckoos. So it's a taste thing. I can understand that. As far as first issues go, I don't think it's that good, nor do I think it's that accessible, but definitely could get better. I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5. Mostly because I think the art will ramp it up a bit for me, but it's good you guys like it. So I'm happy there are people that like the book, because I know people that definitely like this character. But Demoan, you take us to Mr. and Mrs. X #1.
Okay, so this is a book okay. I love Rogue and I love Gambit. Rogue is definitely my favorite character, probably of all time, but I honestly did not like the way they got married. I felt it was personally too soon, because they had just gone through the Rogue and Gambit series, which was great. I loved that. But then they just kind of popped into a wedding from a book that they really weren't in that much. So I thought it came out of nowhere, but I like the way they executed their first issue. So it started off with going through, I guess, flashback of like the honeymoon, their honeymoon, and then flashback to the wedding, and everything seems to be going good. They show the big kiss, of course, and then they flash back further to them getting ready for the wedding. And Gambit's scene is great, and then Rogue scenes comes along, and that's going to be probably one of my main problems for the book. Rogue she's preparing for the wedding, and then all of a sudden, one of the people reveals herself as her mom, Mystique. Mystique and Rogue do not like each other, and Rogue accepted her with open arms, which it's a wedding, so I guess I can like kind of let it slide, but like the way Rogue acts, there should have been probably more apprehension. Like she probably should have been a less trusting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's that.
But like fully on board across here.
Mm-hmm. So like I'm fine with her just letting her stay, but like Rogue just seemed way too open about it. Was my problem. And then of course, I forgot. Rogue gets the power dampening collar so that she can get her wedding kiss and all the things that come after it. Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge. Wink, wink. Mm-hmm. XOXO.
Mm-hmm. And after the wedding ceremony is over, we get them on Miss Marvel's starship somewhere out in space, and they're talking, and they're having a great time.
They're having a fantastic time.
But then all of a sudden, guess who calls to ruin their goddamn day? Kitty Pryde.
She's ruining their honeymoon.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I'm personally not that big a fan of Kitty as the leader of the X-Men.
The tenure has not been good.
No,
this is not the golden age of X-Men at all.
This is not. But like,
my question I present to you: is it the character or is it the writing?
I mean, I personally don't know a lot about Kitty Pryde, so I'd probably lean more toward writing because, like I said, I don't know a lot, so I'm just going with what I learned from these most recent books.
I think it's 70% writing, 30% character, because also if you look at Kitty just having gone from space fucking with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then now she's suddenly the leader because Storm didn't feel confident enough to lead the X-Men after Inhumans vs. X-Men. It's just
that Prime one-shot was odd.
No.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also not sure why Kitty exactly would have been a first choice to lead. Like, I don't know. I feel like there could have been other people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everyone else is dead, so...
Yeah, you know what? I forgot a lot of people were dead. Most of the people I'm thinking of are probably dead, to be honest. But anyway, Kitty gets the mood, and they need Rogue and Gambit to go do some space stuff, ruining their honeymoon. And then Rogue and Gambit show up, and they try to get a package from a person they were sent to meet, who's a Shi'ar warrior and a former member of Excalibur. But they realize they've been lured into a trap, and a battle ensues as always. And then Rogue gets the package they were supposed to get, but touches her opponent and phases to the outside of the ship, and then just kind of pops out of existence. And when she pops back in, she's right next to Deadpool,
who's in space for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Deadpool will show up again later too.
Yeah.
Deadpool was a romance of Rogue for a hot second. They shared a heated kiss in Uncanny Avengers. I think it was early 20s. I think the number issue was.
Oh, really?
I just remember that Rogue was flying up, like It was a midair kiss.
Yeah,
so,
and
which the artist drew beautifully, but also.
And then the kiss is also referenced in Rogue and Gambit, and she describes Deadpool as a better kisser than Remy. She says it's probably because Deadpool is so ugly that he has to compensate somehow, which is just hilarious.
Well, if you know anything about Siren, the Deadpool and Siren had a thing for a long time.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, Theresa Cassidy, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was always alluded to that he's well endowed.
I can
Good
imagine.
for Theresa then.
Like I said, he's got to compensate somehow. He's an ugly fuck. So yeah, so that's how the end of the issue. Deadpool's holding some sort of egg, and it looks like this is going to be a Deadpool, Rogue, and Gambit team up issue, and I honestly love it. I love the dynamic that Rogue and Deadpool had in in Uncanny Avengers. It was like she was trying to be a good leader, but Deadpool was also always mucking it up. But it always worked out because it's Deadpool, so like his stupid ideas would work out for him. And I just kind of liked how she had to figure out a way to put up with that. And I really can't wait to see how they're gonna have her put up with that going along with Gambit too.
And then Demoan, who wrote and drew this book?
Gosh. Writer was the same person who wrote Rogue and Gambit miniseries.
Kelly Thompson.
Yep, Kelly Thompson, same person. And then they changed and then Oscar Balduza or Basil Dua and Frank D'Armata were artists on the book.
And Frank Dermata is a really, really good colorist. Really brought out the art for me here. I thought the art was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love the art.
Yeah, it was very cute. It's very fitting for the tone of the book.
They made all the characters look adorable. And that's what I want from Rogue. So for me personally, because of my bias, I'd give this book a perfect 5. But like if I'm being completely realistic, it's probably somewhere around like a 4.5, 4.25.
All right.
Somewhere around
That's
there.
still pretty high.
I thought this book was all right, not great, not amazing. I think this falls right in line with a 3 for me. Forced Deadpool at the end doesn't help me, so because I very much like Rogue and Gambit as well. My only question was at the beginning of the book when they were flashing back to the wedding, was that the same wedding that they stole from Peter and Kitty, or is this them doing their own wedding after this?
Nope, the wedding they stole from Kitty and Peter.
Okay, so they just went in with the mentality that they were stealing it anyway.
I mean, they had all the stuff set up, I guess. So
yeah,
can't waste a wedding.
I mean, okay,
this seems like or maybe they took a break and decided to do it over. I guess that's what it is.
But this is also, but like, regardless, that is very a Gambit move. Like that is something Gambit would very much do.
It is a Gambit move. I thought I would have liked to seen Gambit's Cajun accent a little bit more. I thought it wasn't super strong in the voice for it, but definitely could get better.
Right.
And I thought.
Oh, that was actually something I just realized now too.
Rogue Southern accent. I didn't really. She said sugar once.
Yeah, they dialed back the accents. I just realized that.
Yeah, accents are a little dialed back, but and then like I wasn't really a big fan of the Mystique thing because I just don't see that happening. Like if your thing is like just don't have her there is basically the best way to handle that.
Or even
have her show up later in an arc or something.
I'd even be fine with her like being there, but then not revealing herself, and then revealing that she was someone there later.
Yeah,
like, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, just have it like be very like seedy about it. Just like show the eyes. That'd be good. That would be much better because it like that whole moment comes so out of character. I'm kind of having a pattern with the X books here for Fresh Start, where it feels like if you haven't been keeping up with the X titles, you're really kind of going to be lost what's going on. Like this book completely spins out of the Rogue and Gambit miniseries.
And then the one issue of X-Men Gold, was it, right?
Yeah,
the one arc-ish.
So, and then I just know I haven't like kept up with current X-Men when the Shi'ar Imperial Guard showed up. and I don't recognize anyone on it other than Warstar. And I was like, has Warstar been in a comic book since the late 90s, 2000s? Other than that, though, art was good action. I thought it was all right. Pretty fun, which is what I feel like the book should be. It's definitely fun. So 3 out of 5 for me.
All right, my turn. Well, first off, I agree with Demoan that the wedding really felt too rushed. Because last we've seen of the two of them, Rogue was hitting it up kind of with Deadpool, and Gambit didn't really have a love interest, but he did mac on Storm in one issue of X-Men Gold. So, like, I feel like they definitely could have had a couple, like at least say 6 months our time in order to, or a year more of our time in order for them to get hitched. So, but also otherwise they do have a really big history. So I'm not that too caught up in that criticism. The art was very cute, and except for that one Mystique panel, which made her look way too young, and that just bothered the hell out of me. It bothered me a little bit more than Mystique appearing, which also I agree with that. Like she should have just stayed quiet, or Rogue should have just been a little bit more angrier because they were pissed at each other in Astonishing X-Men when they last worked together. But also they don't remember that either. Spoilers for Astonishing X-Men. Let's see what else. I love the interaction when we see both Rogue's side and Gambit's side. Gambit and Laura interacting. I love their friendship so much, so it was really great to see that. I love Ileana and Rogue also talking with each other, and just like these small little interactions just made me really, really happy. So let's see what else. I was a little concerned about them going to space. I'm still wondering how does Remy have Captain Marvel's number? Because
Remy gets around. That's just
he's a thief.
I'm just so good at that.
I guess we could explain it like that. So, but still, well enough to borrow an Alpha Flight spaceship. Like I guess I don't know. Let's see. And I'm excited to see where it goes. You know, I got really excited at the end with the egg. Is it a Phoenix egg? I'm not so sure. And Deadpool, I'm kind of neutral about. So I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5. It's nice to see one of my favorite X couples being together and a very good start. Love the art, love the writing. I have a lot of hope for Kelly Thompson and this book and all her other books. So 4 out of 5.
Kelly Thompson kind of riding high right now, as she was nominated for an Eisner for the Hawkeye Kate Bishop book, the ongoing she's writing, and then she was handpicked by Bendis to take over Jessica Jones, which that book, as of the time of this recording, I think just came out last week.
Yeah, I think so. It's a webcomic, right?
Yeah, it's a web first comic. But still, it's Bendis's handpicked choice for his character. So she has the distinction of being the first person to write that character since Bendis. So Marvel clearly high on Kelly Thompson. But getting to our final book of the evening, Domino #1. It says on the cover, fabulous first issue, but really was it? I guess we'll dive in. Written by Gail Simone with art by David Baldion, and kind of keeping in line with my ratings tonight. I don't know. I'm kind of flipping between a 2 and a 3 on this, but I think I'm gonna more so give it a 2 just because I just didn't really kind of enjoy it. I just especially like some of the elements of the plot for me seemed like Gail Simone wants to do her own version of John Wick, like right down to Domino getting a dog. And it's such an odd character to have an ongoing, and you already see it where they're bringing in guest stars to help the book kind of survive on its own, because I just don't think Domino on her own carries a solo title. But getting into the plot of this book, Domino and she's on a mission because she's a mercenary, and so her and her little group of mercenaries go out and try to they capture this other guy, and then she's greeted for a birthday party, and some of the other X-Men are there, and also Deadpool shows up. And X-23 was there, but who was the most important character that was there?
Was it Colossus?
No, it wasn't Colossus.
Oh, okay.
Demoan, who was it?
I said Cable.
No, it wasn't Cable. Was Cable even there?
No.
Yeah, he was. Was he not?
No, he wasn't.
Cable wasn't there.
Cable was there.
I have it open right now.
I do not say.
Oh no, there is Cable. There is Cable. Yeah, the blue shirts.
Yeah, Cable.
Oh yeah,
blue shirt, glowing eye,
little eye flash.
Yellow arm. Gosh, you're making me think I'm crazy.
Oh, are you talking about Dazzler as most popular?
Yeah, I'm talking about Dazzler.
Okay, Dazzler.
Okay.
Yes, Dazzler was there, which made me happy.
Yes.
But just so she's having her birthday party, and then two mysterious people show up, and then try to kill her, and I guess she has to go fight these people now. It's like, all right, I don't know why this book exists. Because Gail Simone wanted to write Dazzler? I remember when the book was coming out, or like getting hyped.
Dazzler.
Well, no, I meant she wanted to write Domino. I would take a Gail Simone Dazzler book though. I like Gail Simone, so it's kind of hard. I don't like giving that issue a 2 out of 5, but it's just kind of weird because I remember when the book was. She was hyping it on Twitter. She's like, "Oh, I'm going back to Marvel. What characters would you like to see me write?" And everyone was like, "Oh, I want to see you write this person." And she's like, "Well, I'm writing Domino." And everyone was like, "What?" And that's kind of how the issue felt. I just kind of felt like just kind of buy the books, nothing special. And I know Gail Simone can do better than a John Wick mixed with zany hijinks, fun kind of book. To you guys, who's next? Do you want to talk about that?
I guess I'll go next. I did not like this issue at all. The art was cute. It looked a little weird in some places, but I didn't really have a problem with it overall. I just don't like Gail Simone's writing for Domino. I don't know where she was really going with her, but it did not really.
But like being someone who's like read very little Domino, is this in line with her at all?
I've read Domino in X-Force, X-Force Sex and Violence, so a handful of other books, just a handful of Liefeld's X-Force books. That one annual that she was in. So, but based on those dominoes and based on this domino, it just did not feel like the same character at all. I think
Is it closer to the movie?
Closer to the movie?
Is it like Deadpool 2 portrayal? Is it closer to that? Or is that
not?
Is it just
not really? I didn't get that feeling of it. So I don't know. I'm kind of neutral on Gail Simone here, but I kind of, not to be mean or anything, but I think Gail Simone's having like a midlife crisis or something like that, and then she's taking it out on Domino here. That's how I'm going to describe it. So one example was she was talking with Colossus at one point. She says, "Heard you're getting married, Peter. Kitty's great. Must be nice to have a fiance with a normal face, right?" She never had any problems with that. She's never been too deep with her love interests ever before. And even when she and Colossus were hooking up in Cable and the X-Force, it was nothing was warranting that sort of reaction from her. So that just pissed me off. Yeah. So, not a fan of it, and I've been reading the following 4 issues. I wasn't a fan of that either. The one with Shang-Chi just made me want to jump off a cliff. I'm going to be honest right there. So, and that just really brought down the rest of the book for me. So yeah, 1 out of 5 right here. 1.5 maybe, if I'm being Comment.
You go on wait, you said because you cut out a little bit. Did you say 1.5 or 0.5?
1.5.
Okay, I was like, whoa, go on. Like I thought I only heard the 0.5 part. I was like, oh man, you're lower than a 1.
So,
but no, it has not happened yet.
And with Gail Simone, I've only read Birds of Prey with her, and I love that. But this one,
I've read a little bit of Birds of Prey and Secret Six, and I love Secret Six. So.
I need to read Secret Six at some point soon.
So good.
So I think maybe she's just losing her touch, but yeah, 1.5 for me. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Okay.
You see, I'm solidly in the camp that this was a better first issue than what I did on the other episode. So for the sole reason that I probably mistakenly gave some of the issues on the other episode a rating of a 3, I'm probably going to give this one a 3 too.
Well, you don't. I mean, if you feel it's a 2, give it a 2. But that's your.
Just let him do what he wants.
I'm just trying to be consistent with my rating. I'm trying to be consistent with my rating scale.
Not consistent.
Oh, it's fine.
So like, if I'm leaving the other ones at what I left them, this would probably be a 3. But I think if I had read this just now without reading those, I'd probably give this like a 2.5, a 2.
We're gonna release an episode that's just Demoan changing his ratings on a scale.
Feel like a compilation video afterwards.
I'm sorry. At least I'm away from the 7 scale rating now. I finally moved on to the 5 scale. I thought it would be easier for the fresh start because I don't like doing conversions.
Well, I mean, that's 7. Even if you did that in fractions, that's messier than 5.
The man has a system.
The 7 scale is perfect. I don't want to explain it in this video, but just know that the 7 scale is the best scale.
All right, I trust you, Demoan. I trust you.
Mm-hmm. So anyway,
hey Demoan.
Yes.
You're cutting out a little bit, but.
Yeah. Is it dark?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So try not to move, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, and now he's just frozen.
No.
This is like the part where we stall for time.
I can still see him.
Okay, so we're good. Okay. So I don't really have anything to add that you guys didn't say. Like it's an issue. It's a first issue. It's probably not something I'd continue.
Don't.
Mm-hmm. But like I did like some of the big appearances. Dazzler's always cool to see.
Yeah, I think across the board for me, none of these books are something I can continue.
Mm-hmm. And then also something I learned from this book that I was quite happy about was that Jubilee's not Dracula anymore, which is cool. So she has her power back. Mm-hmm. So I like that Jubilee's not. I was fine with Jubilee and her powers being Dracula-esque, but I just didn't like that she was an actual vampire. I'm pretty sure that kind of bothered me. But I guess it's she's apparently not anymore, which is cool. I like that, but I don't know. I would like a Jubilee series come soon. Maybe I'd like that.
They're gonna release a 5-issue miniseries, like they're doing everyone else.
I mean, I'd be fine with that.
I feel like I've asked this before.
She's the baby's. I don't know. She had the baby in the last thing I read, which was Gen X. Yeah. She had the baby, but I'm not sure if something happened and that's why she lost her powers. Yeah, Shokun's like, I think he's walking right now. But I like Gail Simone's work. I read the biggest thing I've read with her is Gen 13, which I really did like. She did the first 18 issues of that, and I really liked the first 18 issues of that. Those are my favorite issues of the whole run.
I did read her horror comic. I don't know what it's called.
I will say though, she did write Deadpool for a time, so I actually liked seeing her Deadpool show up again.
Clean Room. I did read her Clean Room. So it was confusing, but it was good.
Okay.
Well, if that's all we got, it's been another episode of the Marvel Fresh Start Reviews. So stay tuned for another episode, guys. And take care.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Sleep tight.